Good evening, guys. It is Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. This Bathrobe business. I have no coffee and not even any decaf, but I still have the news. So let's jump into it. So I'm still going to be talking a lot about the Trump administration. Obviously, it's just day two. There's a lot to talk about. Again, not a political podcast, but I think it's unavoidable. Before I get into that, I'm going to talk about Netflix real quick. So let me share this tab. So Netflix had an amazing quarter. They stunned Wall Street. They had more subscribers than anticipated, almost 20 million new subscribers. In addition, they had massive gains in revenue. Quarterly wise, earnings per share were $4.27 versus $4.20 estimated. 10.25 billion in revenue versus 10.11 billion in revenue. Their paid subscribers grew in every division, but what's actually most interesting is their basic package, which now has the ads, that grew by 300 million paid memberships. So just the base level, which I believe is $6.99 a month. So that's the Netflix. I don't have that one. That's the one that they launched most recently, but that's the one where they have paid ads. That is now signed up 300 million new subscribers, and they gained 19 million new overall in their premium. I'm sorry. Now they are also going to be raising prices. So Netflix prices are going up, I believe, starting next month. The $15 a month membership is going up to 18. And then the ad supported one is going up from $6.99 to $7.99, so just $1 increase. But that's fantastic revenue for Netflix because not only are they going to be making money off of the subscriptions, but also from the ad revenue. So I think that is actually probably a real money maker for them, and it's going to open up all new horizons. Another big addition to why Netflix did so well, I would say, is quality of content. I noticed during the holidays, you have family nights, you turn on a movie, Thanksgiving, Christmas, etc. We were flocking to nothing but Netflix, it seemed like, the entire time. Netflix had a really good selection of movies, TV shows, those Hallmark style movies. We were watching it nonstop. But in addition, their live sports was a major contributor. Obviously, everybody watched that Logan Paul or Jake Paul, I don't remember which brother it was, Mike Tyson fight, but also WWE as well. Netflix is quickly positioning itself to really be the new cable subscriber of the 21st century. They're not just about renting movies or watching TV shows anymore. They now have a plethora of different options for every single user. I think that it's safe to say that this growth is going to continue. I feel like a couple years ago, when they had a really bad quarter, they lost lots of subscribers. A lot of people said they went woke, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if that's all true, but I do know that the content was very weak. I was not watching Netflix at all. I was more on Hulu. I was more on Peacock. I still had HBO Max at the time. I very rarely looked at Netflix, whereas now I find myself drifting more and more to Netflix, especially on the weekends, when me and my fiance are looking for something to watch. We know that we can find something on Netflix. One thing I do predict, so this is my prediction of what Netflix should do, and I think what Netflix will inevitably do at the end of the day. I don't think this is soon. I think this is still a couple quarters or a couple years away. But if you're going to be the new cable provider of the 21st century, of the modern millennials, Gen Alpha generations, you need to organize your content, I think, a little bit better into more genre-based. So I think the current way they organize content, the current way you can look up movies, TV shows, trending, all that is great. But I think where this is going to really revolutionize the game, and I think will help a lot of people, is when Netflix launches channels. Because, like, for example, with old school cable, if you wanted to watch Home Improvement, you would watch, HGTV. If you wanted to watch cooking, you would watch the cooking channel. If you wanted, movies, you go to FX or TBS. They need the equivalent to that. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean creating new content. Quite the opposite. It probably just means reorganizing the content, creating a new feature of just called channels, where everything can be a little bit more organized. I think when they do that, it's going to gain even more. I think already there's a lot of boomers, Gen Xers, et cetera, that are on Netflix. Obviously, there are. My parents watch it. Most older generations do as well. But I think when you gain that aspect, that kind of traditional flow of television, it's definitely going to change the game. And I think it's going to make Netflix a full replacement to cable television. I think that's the day of reckoning. We'll see if that happens. If they're smart, that's what they'll do. They should listen to me. They should watch this channel, and then they know what to do next quarter. But until they do, they're only going to have a measly 300 million subscribers per quarter. Those fools. Next story. Okay, let's jump into Trump. So the Trump administration launched a massive infrastructure bill that is partnered with Oracle, OpenAI, and SoftBank. So what does this all mean? Well, right now it's still a little hazy, but it is not a small story. So currently, I always botch this guy's name, but Masayoshi Son, the leader of SoftBank. If you don't know what SoftBank is, it's probably the world's biggest venture capital firm. I don't know if they qualify or define themselves as venture capital or private equity, etc. They're a giant investment bank. So they just throw money at the wall and see what sticks. Pretty much every major corporation in the last 10 years has had their backing. Everything from Airbnb to WeWork to Uber. I don't think they were involved in Lyft, but I think they were involved in Uber. Anyway, if there's a major unicorn company, they were probably behind it. And they are donating. Well, I shouldn't say donating. They are partnering with Oracle, OpenAI, the Trump administration, with a new fund. Right now, it's starting with $100 billion, and it will grow up to $500 billion over the next 4 years. So what does this fund do? Well, it's essentially an infrastructure AI plan. Currently, from what I could gather, the $100 million is going to go towards building data centers. Right now, there's a big boom in Texas, but honestly, data centers are popping up all over America, especially rural America. I brought you guys a story, if you'll remember, if you watch this channel regularly, a couple of months ago about how West Virginia, Virginia proper, parts of the Carolinas, a lot of their rural areas are getting major boosts in income from these tech companies coming in and building out infrastructure for data centers. They're buying up empty lots. They're buying up old warehouses, retrofitting them into data centers. This is definitely going to be a prerequisite and a major move for AI. It's going to be an absolute necessity. In addition, now this did not bring up energy, but energy is going to be a major, major component of this. Obviously, I've talked about on this channel how I'm a huge proponent of nuclear and how a lot of AI companies are looking to invest in nuclear, especially with small modular reactors. And while this current structure of it's called Project Stargate, this current venture with OpenAI, Oracle, and SoftBank, Stargate doesn't currently include infrastructure spending on energy. It will probably at some point over the next 4 years. So this is a major move. I'm not even the biggest proponent of AI, but this much money and this much research being thrown at it, especially investment into infrastructure, is definitely going to change the game for the next 4 years. And I do hope that it does include investment in nuclear. Our infrastructure for our energy grid is terrible, especially when you consider that everybody is looking to update to electrical. Currently, we can only support so much electrical, especially in major cities. If that continues, we just do not have the infrastructure and the energy capabilities to do it. So hopefully this Project Stargate, will bring new energy sources, specifically nuclear, to the fold so that we can have a better infrastructure grid to support EVs as well as all the other electric demands we're going to be having, especially with AI. Now, in addition to Japan, since we're talking about SoftBank, later this week, the Bank of Japan is planning to raise its interest rate to a quarter of a basis point, setting the new rate at 0.5%. That's the highest level they've had since 2008. Now, as I always talk about on this channel, this is a business channel that I try to focus on with American news specifically. I try to avoid other countries. I avoid Europe almost entirely. I do talk about China more than I'd like. And now I'm bringing up Japan. Why I bring this up is it will have major market implications for the United States. So last July of 2024, the Bank of Japan raised interest rates a quarter of a basis point, and the Dow Jones lost like 1,000 points. Everybody even made the comment of, it was the same day that Kamala was announced to be the new representative of the Democratic Party. It was before the actual official, the DNC committee elected her, but Biden had already written the letter. She had stepped up and said that she was running against Donald Trump. Everybody made the reference that, oh, it's because of her that this happened. It had nothing to do with her. It was entirely based off of Japan raising its interest rates. Now, you might be asking why. There's a number of reasons. Minor reason, I think there is a relationship between the fact that Japan holds major U.S. debt. They're actually the largest holder of U.S. debt. They are ahead of China. And if Japan starts raising their own interest rates, that will probably lower investment in the United States. And the United States has seen major loss in investment from China. China is not buying bonds like they used to. In fact, it's pretty much screeched to a halt. I don't think that the official government of China, I don't believe, is investing actively in new U.S. debt. I think it's mostly coming from the private sector in China. But Japan is the biggest holder of U.S. debt. Now, if they continue to raise interest rates, a lot of people will decide, well, why do I need to go abroad if I can get better rates at home? Now, 0.5% isn't that, but once it starts hitting, 2%, 3%, it is a factor. And I think that was one of the reasons the market fell the way it did. However, in addition, one of the major reasons is because of the companies I just brought up, like SoftBank. So what does SoftBank do? Well, they're a major private equity venture capital firm, whatever you want to call it. They are a giant investment fund. They borrow at zero, or traditionally borrowed at 0% interest rates, and are then just able to go into the private sector and invest. That's why when they raised interest rates, a lot of people panicked, because that means that the amount of investment they could do has now become much more expensive, especially when you factor in things like exchange rates, because you have to exchange into US currency and then you have to exchange back into Japanese currency. So between that, there was major scare that this was going to have negative repercussions on the US economy, and it probably will. If Japan continues to do this, this is going to also have negative effects on the U.S. economy, especially with a lot of the major tech firms and a lot of those unicorns I talked about. Now, if you watch this channel, you know that I don't think that's a bad thing. I think investment in Main Street is better than investment in Wall Street. However, it doesn't mean that you won't see major pullback in the market. Now, this time around, the market is going to be braced for it. But don't be surprised if there is a major pullback in the stock exchange, in both the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ, later this week. I believe the Bank of Japan is expected to do this on Thursday. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can find it. I swear I read that it was going to be on Thursday. But there may not be a major pullback, but I do believe there will be a pullback in the market because of it. Real quick, because this video is running long, gold has hit a 2-month high. Gold is currently at 2,742, almost back to that $2,800 mark. There's reasons. They're saying threats of tariffs, et cetera, et cetera. It doesn't really matter. Right now, just know that gold is at an all-time high. And then last story I'm going to share with you guys is this. So egg shortages are getting really bad. Higher prices spike as bird flu continues to grow. So the bird flu has now infected about 13 million birds in the last 30 days. You've probably, if you've listened to the news, heard all about bird flu. When you listen to the news, they're mostly talking about it in respect to humans, of humans getting infected with bird flu. But obviously, it's called bird flu for a reason, and it's affecting the U.S. Egg markets substantially. It's also going to be affecting chicken meat prices as well, where a lot of times they have to cull entire groups of chickens in order to prevent it from spreading. So egg prices keep climbing, and some stores are actually limiting how many eggs you can purchase. We're going back to like COVID level shortages. A dozen eggs in South and South Central will be $7, while Midwest eggs will be $6.95. In addition, when you're talking about eggs, you're also usually talking about bread and baked goods. So as eggs keep increasing in cost because of the shortage, so will baked goods. So don't be surprised if on the next inflation number, we see major gains in the prices of produce. So this is definitely going to squeeze the American middle class and lower middle class substantially. And it's actually funny, right before I started this video, it was something funny that happened, and I told my fiance to check the local Facebook group of the neighborhood to see if there's any stories in regards to what I saw when I was driving home. She said no, but there are a lot of people posting about if anyone has eggs for sale. So when we go shopping later, we may notice that eggs are not on the shelves. So that's the stories of the day. That's pretty much it. I ran much longer than I normally do. I hope you guys have a productive Wednesday, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.